Please, don't hit me, I'm already broken, sobbed the CEO. Then the single dad spoke his truth. Sometimes a single moment, one unexpected flash of honesty, can pull the mask off a person we thought we understood. Sometimes it reveals pain so deep that even power, money, or status can't hide it. And that's exactly what happened the day a powerful CEO looked a single father in the eyes and whispered, shaking, "Please, don't hit me. I'm already broken." No one in that boardroom expected kindness to be the thing that changed everything. No one expected the truth to spill out the way it did. And no one expected a single dad, just a warehouse worker in a faded jacket, to be the one to finally speak the words the CEO desperately needed to hear. Before we jump in, if you enjoy emotional, real-life storytelling that reminds us of who we can be at our best, please subscribe, like, and comment to support TruthLines USA. Your support helps us keep sharing stories that matter. The story begins on a cold Tuesday morning, cold enough that the windows of the old pickup truck were fogged with the single dad's tired breath as he drove to the corporate headquarters. His name was Eli Turner. 36, raising his 8-year-old daughter, Harper, mostly on his own. A warehouse worker for a major retail company. Paycheck to paycheck. No backup plan. No cushion. Just grit and love for his kid. That morning, he wore his cleanest shirt, though the collar had a tiny fray. He kept smoothing it nervously while walking through the gleaming lobby of the headquarters. Marble floors. Tall glass walls. People in expensive coats. Everyone rushing past him like he didn't exist. He wasn't supposed to be in a place like this. But his union rep had sent him up after a scheduling dispute spiraled into a formal meeting. Eli had been outspoken about safety issues at the warehouse. Not angry, just concerned. But management called it disruptive. So they called him in. And sitting at the top of that chain was the CEO himself, Martin Hale, a man known for his icy composure and relentless expectations. As Eli walked into the boardroom, he felt small. The long table. The gray suits. The perfect haircuts. All eyes on him. But not kindly. Martin entered last. Power practically walked in the room with him. Tall. Sharp posture. Eyes that looked through people, not at them. The kind of man who never had to raise his voice to make everyone around him feel smaller. He took his seat. Folded his hands. And spoke with calibrated coolness. "Mr. Turner," Martin said, "you've been accused of creating tension among your supervisors. They say you've been challenging authority." Eli knew the game. The warehouse manager didn't like him pointing out the broken loading equipment or the lack of heat in the winter. But Eli had seen too many injuries. Too many exhausted parents limping to their cars after 12-hour shifts. He wasn't trying to be a hero. He was just trying to make the place survivable. "I wasn't challenging authority," Eli said softly. "I was trying to keep people safe. Including myself. Including the folks who don't have anyone to speak for them." The executives exchanged glances. A little dismissive smirk here, an eye roll there. But Martin simply stared at Eli. Cold. Expressionless. "Safety is important," Martin said. "But insubordination is not tolerated." That word, insubordination, hit Eli like a punch. That wasn't who he was. He felt heat rising in his chest. "With respect," he said, voice wavering, "I haven't been disrespectful. I've been honest. And if honesty is treated like a threat here, then..." But before he could finish, one of the vice presidents cut him off sharply. "Watch your tone," the VP snapped. "This isn't." That was when it happened. Martin flinched. Really flinched. Like a child ducking from a thrown fist. Everyone froze. Even the air seemed to stop moving. The CEO's face went pale. His hands trembled. He couldn't hide it. Not this time. "Please," Martin whispered suddenly, voice cracking. "Don't hit me." The room spun into stunned silence. He swallowed hard. A tear escaped, catching the shine of the boardroom lights. "I'm already broken," he said, barely audible. Executives stared at him like they'd just watched a statue crumble into dust. Eli felt something shift inside him. Not anger. Not confusion. Something older. Something human. The CEO, the man everyone feared, wasn't just unraveling. He was pleading. And in that single moment, Eli understood something important: pain doesn't care about status. Trauma doesn't check your bank account. And a child who grows up afraid often becomes an adult who hides behind walls and titles. Eli took a slow breath and stepped toward him, not threateningly, but gently, palms open. "Sir," he said softly, "I'm not here to hurt you." Martin kept shaking, shoulders curling inward like he expected a blow anyway. "I know what that look is," Eli continued. "I know what it's like to flinch before someone even raises a hand. I know what it's like to expect the worst because that's all you got growing up." The executives shifted uncomfortably. None of them knew this version of their boss. None of them wanted to see him like this. But Eli wasn't embarrassed. He wasn't judging. He was remembering. He was remembering his own father's rage during those long, dark years when Eli was a boy. He remembered the nights he'd hide with his little sister in the closet, counting his breaths, hoping his father's boots wouldn't stop in front of the door. He remembered learning to shrink, to stay quiet, to avoid triggering an explosion. And later, as an adult, he remembered the endless journey of unlearning fear. Eli knelt so he was at eye level with the CEO. "You don't have to be afraid of me," he said. "I'm not your past. I'm just a dad trying to make it home safe to his kid. That's all." Martin pressed the heel of his hand to his eyes. "I shouldn't break like this. Not in front of everyone." "It's okay to break," Eli said gently. "It's human. And honestly, I think a lot of the folks who work under you, they could use a leader who remembers what it's like to be human." The VP at the table started to protest, but Martin raised a trembling hand to stop him. Then he looked around the room. "All of you," Martin said, voice hoarse, "leave us. Please." No one dared argue. Within seconds, the room fell silent except for the two of them. Martin exhaled shakily. "I don't know why that happened." "You do," Eli said kindly. "You just don't want to say it." The CEO wiped his face with the cuff of his expensive sleeve. "My father, he was a violent man. And when people get loud or angry, even now, You brace for impact," Eli finished. Martin nodded. Eli didn't push further. He just let the silence sit there in a gentle way. After a moment, Martin spoke again. "I've spent my whole life trying to be the opposite of him. Controlled. In command. Untouchable. But I guess the fear never really leaves." "Not on its own," Eli said. "But kindness can help. Patience can help. Connection can help. Even a small conversation like this can start something." Martin studied Eli's face, as if he were seeing him for the first time, not as an employee, not as a problem, but as a person. "You're not what they said you were," Martin whispered. "Neither are you," Eli replied. For the first time, the CEO gave a fragile, honest smile. They talked for a long time. Not about money or productivity or corporate politics. But about people. About the warehouse workers freezing on winter shifts. About the mothers skipping lunches to save a little extra for their kids. About folks who were barely hanging on. And little by little, it became clear that Martin wasn't heartless. Just wounded. Wounded in a way that made him hide behind authority because it felt safer than vulnerability. Eli stood before leaving and said softly, "You have the power to make real change. Not just policy change, human change. Don't waste it hiding behind fear." Martin nodded. "I won't." The next weeks were different. The warehouse heaters were repaired. Shift schedules became more humane. Injuries went down. Supervisors were trained on empathy, not intimidation. And employees noticed something strange. Martin himself started visiting the warehouse. Not to inspect. Not to intimidate. Just to listen. Every time he walked the floor, workers exchanged looks of shock. But there he was. Sitting with forklift drivers. Asking questions. Trying. Kindness had moved upward, from the warehouse floor to the CEO's office, and it transformed everything it touched. Months later, at the company's annual meeting, Martin made a public announcement. Someone recently reminded